Hi everyone, my name is Nuria and this is my sewing journey. And for today's video, I'm bringing you another one-on-one sewing that is going to be perfect for the gifting season, and it's pouches. I know there are a million videos out there about pouches, about how to make them and the patterns, free patterns, paying patterns. So in this video, I got a lot of those pouches and I figured out how to make them, how to draft the patterns, how to sew them together. So I'm going to bring it to you today. We're going to go from difficulty 0 to difficulty 100. So by the end of this video, you're going to be the most expert in the matter and you're going to be able to make whatever pouch you have ever dreamed of. Level 1. The first pouch we're going to look at is the zipper pouch. This is the easiest thing you can do. It's basically whatever you want to put in your pouch, you put it on a piece of paper, you draw a line around it, and then you add 1 centimeter on all lines to make sure that you account for all the fabric, and then 1 centimeter more for seam allowance. And you're going to cut 2 of those. That's it. I'm going to show you how to sew it together a bit later, but for now this is all you need to know. If we move into level 2, we see adding structure. So we have different options here. Normally you will have your piece of fabric that is going to be very flowy and with no structure and no stiffness, and then you can do 2 things, either add stiffness or add smushy mushy. If you want to add structure, the only thing you need to do is add interfacing. You have different types of interfacing. This one, for example, is less sturdy and this one is more sturdy. So your pouch is going to, I don't know, be stiffer or less stiffer depending on what you want. If on the other hand what you're looking for is having fluff, you can add batting. What batting is, it's just a foam piece of fabric and you have it in different thicknesses. If it's thicker, then you're going to have more fluff, and if it's thinner, you're going to have less fluff. This also is important depending on are you a beginner or not, because if you're a beginner, I would go for a thin piece of batting because it's way easier to work with. The thicker one, it's a big mess, I have to say, but yeah, it depends on what you're looking for. And then if you add batting, what you normally do is you get your piece of fabric, you get your piece of foam, you put them together and then you sew to attach them together. How you attach them together depends on the type of pattern you're looking for. Here we have lines, so we can have lines separated by 1 centimeter, or for example we have lines separated by 2 centimeters, whatever you want. Another option you have though is to go creative and use any type of pattern you want. Here I did a little bit of, I don't know, whatever I felt with the machine, and you can go around, you can make waves, you can make circles, you can make whatever. If you Google quilting stitches, you're going to have 1,000 ideas to try on. We move into level 3, the lining. What lining means is basically you're doing exactly the same pouch but for the inside. So you were going to have your structure for the outside and your structure for the inside. But again, it's exactly the same pattern. If you want to have your lining a little bit smaller than the inside, you can also do that. I never do that, but go ahead. Now that I showed you the zipper pouch, the structure and the lining, let me show you how to attach the zipper into the main structure. As I said, we're gonna cut 2 of the main fabric and 2 of the lining. What we're going to do is sandwich the zipper in between them. You add the lining and then you put the zipper, and on top the main fabric facing right sides together. And you sew a stitch along the zipper. It's easier if you use a zipper foot because then you get closer to the teeth of the zipper. Once you're done, you turn it how it should be, you give it a good press, and you add a top stitch just to make sure that everything stays in place. This is one side done, and for the other side you have to do exactly the same. Right sides together, sew a stitch along the zipper, and then you finish with a top stitch. If you only want a simple zipper pouch, what you have to do is put right sides together of the main fabric and the lining and run a stitch along the borders, leaving a little bit of a gap to turn it inside out later on, but I will explain it better in the next levels. I think by now you know quite a lot, but let's make it a bit more complicated. Let's add shapes into the pouches. We're going to start with a triangle pouch. This is basically what I just showed you with the zipper pouch, the 2 attached together, but that you add a base. So you're going to have a bit more space here. How can we make it? Let's say you want to make a toiletry bag. What you're going to do is, what things do you want to put in that bag? Let's say a comb. You put the comb on a piece of paper and you trace the shape of it. Then from there you're going to make a rectangle around that shape. the rectangle can be as big as you want. That's going to be the base of your pouch. That rectangle, we're going to divide it through the middle because we only want to do one side. Both sides are going to be symmetrical, so we're just going to work with one of the sides. Now we have to create that triangle shape. You have to pivot the width of the rectangle into the length of the rectangle. So you're going to have your rectangle and then on top a bigger one. And the last thing you have to do is define how tall you want your pouch to be. And that is the length you're going to add from that big line that we just drew up. After that, you define how big you want this part to be. Normally what I would do is divide that rectangle halfway and then add half on one side and half on the other one to make sure that it's symmetrical. If you want to do a weird thing and not have it symmetrical, you can also do that, but I'm a perfectionist, so I need symmetry. You're going to do that, and then finally you're going to connect those two lines and you're going to have it. And now you're going to cut 2 in the main fabric and 2 in the lining. And if you want to add batting, of course, you can add 2. And now I'm going to show to you how to put it together, but from the zipper step, because I assume that you are an expert already on how to attach the zipper.
We already have the zipper attached. What we're gonna do is put right sides together for both the lining and the main fabric, and we're going to run a stitch on the sides and on the bottom, and on the lining we're going to leave a little gap. Be careful when you're stitching over the zipper because it can be a little bit difficult. Once that's done, we kind of open the pouch like I'm doing right now, and we're going to stitch those borders. Here you can see that it's easier to do it without the batting, like I said before, or if you have a thinner batting, and you do the 4 corners. You look for the hole and then you turn it inside out. If your zipper was bigger than your pouch, you should trim it before turning it inside out. Otherwise, it's going to be bulky around the edges of the zipper. Once that's done, you have your pouch, and the last thing to do is looking for the hole that you have on the lining and running a straight stitch to close it off. And there you have your triangle pouch.
Level up! We're in level number 5, and now we're going to do the rectangle pouch. This is the typical topical that everyone does, and let's see how it's done. You have 2 options. You can follow exactly the same steps as with the triangle, but instead of making it a triangle, you make it a rectangle. Or I'm going to show to you another way of doing it. This way is a little bit more complicated to understand, but we're gonna go through it together. First, we're going to start by drawing the base again and divide it halfway. After that, we'll add another rectangle next to it with how tall we want our pouch to be. So this length here. And we're also going to divide it in the middle. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add half of that measurement to each side of the rectangle. And finally, we're going to add exactly the same rectangle on the other side of your pattern. And it's as simple as that. So again, I'm going to show to you how to make it from the step of the zipper.
For this pouch, we're gonna do the same thing as we did for the triangle. We put right sides together for both the lining and the main fabric, and we run a stitch on the bottom only this time. And we're going to leave a little gap on the lining. After that, we're going to attach all 4 layers together, lining and main fabric, and we're going to run a straight stitch over the zipper. Be careful again when you go over the zipper and make sure that the zipper head is inside of the pouch. And we do that for both sides. After that, the tricky part starts. We're going to do exactly the same we did for the triangle pouch, but this time we're going to attach lining and main fabric together. The first side is going to be easier, but the more sides you have attached, the more difficult it's going to get. So just be careful and have patience. And once that's done, you just look for the hole, you trim the edges of the zipper if your zipper is bigger than the pouch. You turn it inside out. And finally, make sure that all the edges are correct and look for the hole in the lining, and you can close it shut with a straight stitch. And there you have your rectangle pouch.
And here we are at the final level, level number 6, and we're going to make this diamond shape pouch. This is kind of the infinite pouch because when you open it, when you close it, is a diamond shape. It's very small, but then when you open it, it goes bigger, and then you can work on it. You know, you can see all the things that are there, like this. And then it closes and it's like a normal pencil case. Like all the other pouches, we're going to start by drawing a rectangle on how big we want the base to be. You have to think that this pouch is intended to have a big base because the base is when it's open, not when it's closed. How big you want your base to be in the end. And we're going to divide that rectangle in the middle. We're going to pivot the width of the pouch to the sides again on the main length of the pouch, and we're going to extend that rectangle on how long we want the pouch to be, so how tall. We're going to connect the lines to make kind of a triangle trapezoid shape, and there we go. Again, I'm going to show to you how to make it step by step from the zipper. This time the zipper is going to go all the way along the top.
For this pouch, it's going to be a little bit trickier, but we have to follow exactly the same steps. Make sure that your pouch is open and the zipper is inside of the pouch, and put right sides together for both the lining and the main fabric, and run a stitch on the bottom, leaving a little gap on the lining. Once that's done, we're going to attach the 4 layers together, the 2 of the lining and the 2 of the main fabric, and we're going to run a stitch across and over the zipper. Once that's done, you look for the gap that you left on the lining and you can turn your pouch inside out. And before doing that, make sure you trim the excess of your zipper. You make sure everything is correct and you're ready to close that hole that you left in the lining. And that's it. There you have your diamond pouch.
And just like that, I showed you how to make 3 or 4 different pouches that are very nice, that are going to make extremely amazing presents, because I think everyone loves their pouch. And don't worry if by now you're still not an expert and you would like to use a pattern. If you want to purchase a pattern, that's fine. I'm going to link down below all the videos I use to do some research on how to create the different pouches, and some of the videos have their own patterns. So go ahead, try, see if you would like to add something more, and let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!